United Airlines Teamsters rejected the company's latest proposal by 99.5%. That is crazy for a ratification vote of a contract.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Let's go ahead and jump right into last week in Southern labor. Here is what workers in the U.S. South and the American colonies were up to from March 21st to the 28th. And a reminder, you can subscribe to the newsletter at tvlr.fm because these segments are always now truncated, so you're never getting the full thing in the radio or YouTube segment, but you will get the exhaustive version of Last Week in Southern Labor if you sign up to the newsletter. New union campaigns. 135 workers at Real Alloy Recycling in Morgantown, Kentucky filed a petition to hold a union election with the Teamsters Local 89. 119 workers at Breakthrough Beverage Group in St. Louis, Missouri filed a petition to hold a union election with the Liquor and Wine Sales Representatives Union. Local 3, this is interesting because the Teamsters have been organizing a lot of workers at this company across the country. 20 workers at Fritz Enterprises in Birmingham, Alabama filed a petition to hold a union election with the United Steelworkers, USW. 75 workers at Alamo Draft House in Austin, Texas, filed a petition to hold a union election with the United Auto Workers. 18 workers at Starbucks in Mechanicsville, Virginia, that is an incredible name for a city, filed a petition to hold a union election with Starbucks Workers United. 15 workers at Diversicare of Pell City in Pell City, Alabama, filed a petition to hold a union election with the Retail, Wholesale, and Department Store Union, RWDSU, and 90 drivers at United Natural Foods Incorporated, UNFI, in Texas and Louisiana are demanding recognition of their unionization with the Teamsters. In election results, 147 machinists at BWXT, a rail, some sort of rail company in Lynchburg, Virginia, voted 84-60 in favor of unionization with the International Brotherhood of Boilermakers, IBB Local 45. 59 workers at Via 313 Pizza in Austin, Texas, voted 22-16 in favor of unionization with Restaurant Workers United, but the employer is challenging the election. It's unclear why. 7 workers at Mary Queen and Mother Center in St. Louis, Missouri, withdrew their petition for a union election with SEIU Healthcare Missouri, Kansas. 25 workers at Pardue Masonry of Central Florida in Tampa, Florida, voted 0-19 against unionization with the International Union of Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers, IUBAC, Local 8 Southeast, and 12 workers at Breakthrough Beverages, Virginia, in Virginia Beach, Virginia, voted 9-3 in favor of unionization with the Teamsters, Local 822. In grievances, unfair labor practices, and court cases, the United Mine Workers of America, UMWA, filed 2 unfair labor practice charges against Warrior Med in Alabama for violations of Sections 8A3 and 8A1 of the National Labor Relations Act, illegally discharging or not hiring union supporters, and retaliating against workers for engaging in concerted activity. In strikes and bargaining updates, arbitrator Nolan imposed a contract on the National Association of Letter Carriers that is more or less the same as the tentative agreement that was overwhelmingly voted down. Shortly thereafter, Postmaster General DeJoy resigned sooner than expected, reportedly over continued clashes with Doge. UAW members at Volkswagen in Chattanooga, Tennessee, are increasing the pressure on the company to come to an agreement with Sean Fain, holding multiple events in the city last week, recording fiery speeches. We'll be playing some of that shortly. Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate. United Airlines Teamsters rejected the company's latest proposal by 99.5%. That is crazy for a ratification vote of a contract. The union characterized the vote, interestingly, as a rejection of the company's attempt to, quote, cut their wages and send their work to communist China, calling the proposal radical and un-American. They also noted that the company made $4 billion in profits last year. Drivers and riders in Kansas City got the Transportation Authority to agree not to implement cuts at this time, and community groups are urging urging them to find other ways of dealing with the budget shortfall. After rejecting a tentative agreement last week, bus drivers for Mobile, Alabama's WAVE transit service, unionized with the Amalgamated Transit Union, ATU Local 770, voted to authorize a strike. They haven't announced when a strike would begin, but they did file an unfair labor practice charge against WAVE for disciplining workers over their protected concerted activities, presumably due to their sick out last week. Meanwhile, the mayor is raising concerns about spending. Workers at Wells Fargo locations who have unionized across the country held a nationwide mobilization event last week, informing customers about union busting happening at their branches. The International Alliance of Theatrical and Stage Employees, IATSE, came to an agreement with the producers of a low-budget movie, The Last Story of David Allen, in Memphis, Tennessee, which the union and producers hope can serve as a model for union benefits for crews on such productions. Workers at Merson in Columbia, Tennessee, are restarting bargaining for an initial collective bargaining agreement after concluding effects bargaining over layoffs at the plant. Workers recently unionized with IUE-CWA Local 88502. In political and legislative updates, in the largest assault on union rights in my lifetime, possibly in American history, Donald Trump purported to take away collective bargaining rights for nearly 2/3 of federal workers and 75% of federal workers who are currently represented by a union. 1 million people. He purports to do this on national security grounds, but he gave away the game in his fact sheet when he said he didn't like that some federal unions are, quote, fighting him. Almost all large unions have come out strongly against, especially, obviously, the American Federation of Government Employees, AFGE, with the Teamsters being a notable exception. AFGE and allies are preparing a lawsuit, and there is explicit talk about PATCO and how unions did not do enough to defend the strikers. It's unclear how much those words mean, though. The Social Security system is already beginning to creak and crack. The website crashed 4 times over the course of 10 days in March. The phone service is degrading. Customers are seeing longer wait times, and DOGE cut the agency's program to measure customer experience. This all after significant forward momentum under Martin O'Malley only last year. Immigrants continue to be kidnapped and disappeared without due process over their speech, now including a student at the University of Alabama. And in this case, we don't even know what he is alleged to have said after multiple days. Florida has seen significant job shortages due to immigrants leaving the state, so they are, I kid you not, floating loosening child labor laws explicitly as a way to combat these job shortages. It's insane. At least 120 employees at the Mine Safety and Health Administration, MSHA, or 7% of the agency, accepted the buyout offer, leaving the agency with less employees than it has had in decades, even as it struggles to do the bare minimum now. And Alabama's U.S. Senator Katie Britt has introduced legislation to ban project labor agreements on federal construction. Again, there is more. You can find it at tvlr.fm. Subscribe to the newsletter. Finally, in internal union affairs, with elections for the presidency of the Teamsters coming up next year, Sean O'Brien is touting his accomplishments: 80,000 new Teamsters, 250 strikes, record contracts, according to the union. Left unsaid, of course, is the controversy that he is consistently creating politically. It remains to be seen if that will be a problem for him in the election. If we missed anything, let us know at tvlr.fm/contact. You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.